If you were around for it, the 2018 Commander deck Adaptive Enchantment came with the card Archetype of Imagination. You probably already knew this, but this was from a cycle of enchantment creatures from Born of the Gods. The cycle of creatures gives all your creatures a keyword buff while also stealing that ability from your opponents. When I first saw this card, and even sometimes when I play against it, I think, good lord, this is broken. All your creatures can have flying and none of mine can? That's ridiculous. I've definitely lost to this card a few times when playing against the Adaptive Enchantment deck. Built-in evasion for all your creatures while stealing it from your opponents is game-changing. And the fact that this is in blue means that the person who casts this probably has some counter spells ready for you if you try to get rid of it. Now that we've seen the blue one, let's take a look at the most expensive one, the green one. Archetype of Endurance is pretty darn good. It's a bit too expensive in my opinion. 6 green is pretty steep, but it does have the highest power and toughness out of all of these. Plus granting and stealing hexproof is insane. Okay, well, at least it was. Ward has taken over everything now, but you almost run into something every time you play a Commander game that has hexproof, so I guess it still works pretty well. And besides the high CMC, green should be able to get this out with all the ramping and such. And how obnoxious is it to give your Commander Swiftfoot boots and then an opponent plays this? Let's move on to the white archetype, Archetype of Courage. White and red are the cheapest ones in this cycle at 3 mana. This one gives and takes first strike, and I don't need to tell you how good this is. You'll be a nigh unstoppable force in combat, and nobody will want to do much when you're attacking. It's quite the buff to even small creatures, and it pairs nicely with Quendi, Pride of Femeref, and it might not be the most powerful card up front, but being the deciding factor in every combat is just amazing. Now, if you like the white archetype, you'll love the black one because they pair nicely in a brutal way. Archetype of Finality grants and takes away Death Touch. Boy oh boy, does this one suck to go against. There are other cards that do this type of effect, but they're usually only when attacking or when tapped or something. This grants it all the time. It might not be too scary to some, but if you put this in a deck that makes a ton of small creatures, you'll be feared by everybody at the table. Do you really want your best creatures to die to 1/1s with Death Touch? Okay, lastly, we've got the red archetype of Aggression. This bad boy grants and eliminates trample for creatures. Getting rid of this ability, first off, can prevent people from winning with trample damage at all, and giving all of our creatures trample is fantastic in any deck. Pairing this with Proud Wildbonder is a surefire way to win in your Gruul decks, and putting it in a mono red dragon deck could be incredible too, making you an even bigger menace in the sky. This goes with just about every red deck that's creature heavy, and I think that's why I like this one so much. Alright, but what do you think? Which one is the strongest, and which one will you pick up through the TCGplayer affiliate link below? If you like the enchantment borders on these cards, Playmats and Proxies has a Starry Octopus playmat that I think really works well with these, and I kind of want to pick this one up. Thank you everybody, and I'll see you next week for your weekly dose of Magic.